Hey guys, it's the beginning of day 5 of Sentinel League, and in this video I'm going to make a build update on my character. However, before we get into that, I'm going to be covering some Spark defenses, and I'm going to rank them based on their opportunity cost. So first off, I have some cheap options, then we go into some medium cost options, and I end with an expensive option. Because I'm ranking them like this, I hope everybody playing Spark will at least get something out of this video. Alright, so for the cheapest options, we're going to start with the Pantheons. I like to use Soul of Yugal plus Soul of Brine King. This requires, I think, 5 Divine Vessels and the corresponding maps. If you don't have the Divine Vessels, you can sell a Divine Orb with 5 flasks to a vendor, and they'll give us back 5 Divine Vessels. So with these two Pantheons completely filled out, you get Freeze Immunity, which is core on every single character in my opinion. We also get Curse Immunity, which is contingent on us using Zealotry, although if you're following my build, you are using Zealotry. The reason why we get Curse Immunity is because Soul of Yugal gives us some Curse Immunity, and our Zealotry combined with our increased effect of Consecrated Ground from our Ascendancies will result in us having 100% Curse Immunity. We're also getting 50% Chill Immunity, and on my ring, I had an open suffix, so I crafted 50% reduced effect of Chill, which gives me full Chill Immunity. So if you have an open suffix on a ring, that is a high value craft to target. Now, the second cheap option would be using the Tempest Shield aura and then speccing 7 passive points to get to the Arcane Guarding node and the Mystic Bulwark node. Now, these things alone give us 50% spell block, which is a massive increase in our tankiness. We also get shock immunity from Tempest Shield, which will reduce the damage spikes from when our character is getting shocked. Now, the cost associated with this is obviously 7 passive points, we lose a bit of damage, and Tempest Shield costs 35% mana reservation. So you're probably going to have to drop Clarity if you're going for this. However, speccing into these points also gives us 50% mana regeneration rate, so that's sort of like offsetting it a little bit. Now the auras I'm running are, I have an Enlighten 2 with Zealotry, Determination, and Tempest Shield. You actually don't need an Enlighten to run my auras. So I have those 3 auras, and then I have Defiance Banner by itself. And I have a lot of mana unreserved still. I have 182. So you might not need to get an Enlighten if you can't afford it. I also have an Eater of Worlds implicit on my helmet for 7% mana reservation efficiency. That's probably a slightly cheaper option if your mana is getting squeezed than an Enlighten. Alright, so this third part of the cheap options is something definitely do not overlook. This is super important, and it's you're gonna have to spend a little bit of time throwing alteration orbs on your flasks, but it'll be worth it. You want to hit bleed immunity plus remove corrupting blood. You want to hit ignite immunity during flask effect. These two things are the most important. Like 100% make sure you have these on your flasks. And I have poison immunity because I think we are getting poisoned enough during or with the new Arch Nemesis mods that I like to have this. I'm still unsure how important this is, but these first two, like 100% you need to get. Now, the last 2 cheap options are simply skill gems. The first one is a level 20 Vol Molten Shell coupled with cast with damage taken level 20. Now, I think most builds running Determination plus Defiance Banner should be running this. these mitigate a lot of damage. If you don't have this, just throw it on right away. The higher your armor value, the better this becomes. Although we probably have enough armor just naturally with Determination and Defiance Banner that this would be high value no matter what. And it'll just keep getting better the more armor you get. The last one is Frost Shield. Now when you throw up that bubble, it does increase your damage if you're not crit capped, but it also mitigates damage taken. So, it's just a no-brainer, a cheap option. All right, down to the medium cost options. So first off, we have the Call of the Brotherhood ring. Right now, this is 25 chaos. It's probably just going to keep dropping in price. Don't overlook this. It preemptively freezes and chills enemies. It's a very strong layer of defense. So as you're shooting enemies, they're getting slowed because of the freeze and the chill. And because of our pierce, we're shooting and freezing stuff and chilling stuff off screen that we can't even see yet. The next one is getting a form of lifesteal. The cheapest one would be a Delve Ring. These are the two mods. It's either % cold damage leeches life, % lightning damage leeches life. These range, you can get them as cheap as 1 chaos. If you want to have them with really good mods on them, I mean, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Just find one that fits your budget. And if you're not using Call of the Brotherhood, you would have to go for the lightning one. If you're using a Call of the Brotherhood, it doesn't really matter too much which one you choose. Now, the more expensive lifesteal option would be a large cluster jewel that has Doriani's Lesson on it. And I believe these cost around 3 Exalted Orbs if you want to get a good one. So this is a lot more expensive than the Delve Ring, but it's another option for lifesteal. Now, the last for the medium cost options is a Determination Watcher's Eye, which right now costs around 50 chaos. This is just a one mod Watcher's Eye, which gives us 8% physical damage reduction. That's quite a bit of physical damage mitigation. All right, so I only have one expensive option here, and it is the Forbidden Flame Flesh for Conviction of Power. This gives us permanent 4 endurance charges, which is the defensive side, and permanent 4 power charges, which is the offensive side. So 4 endurance charges is equal to twice as much as the Determination Watcher's Eye. So you'll be getting 16% physical damage reduction. I actually forgot to check the price on this. Let's look at that real quick. So it looks like right now it costs, again, this is 2 jewels. The Forbidden Flesh costs, there's only 2 of them, 4x and 10x, and there are no Forbidden Flames up. So yeah, this is going to be really expensive. The prices wildly vary. The Determination Watcher's Eye is a much more budget option that still gives us a ton of defenses. All right, so that concludes my list, and I'm not going to say this is just all the defenses you can get. I'd love to hear in the comments some other ways you are working in some good defenses. One common way is the Aegis Aurora shield. I'm choosing not to do that because there's no damage on that shield, but it is a very good option. Again, there's tons of stuff. I just wanted to throw some ideas out here for anybody struggling with their defenses. All right, now let's get into the character build update. All right, so I'm currently level 92. I'm at 260,000 monster kills, and I am at 348 deaths. So since the end of day 2, I've increased my damage. It is now 1.43 times 4.8. I'm now hitting for 6.8 million maximum damage. And I spent a lot of currency on this build now. We have the big cost items are Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. Now I bought these the beginning of day 3, so I paid maybe like 3 to 4 exalts each. I don't exactly remember. This was back when there was like a little bit of supply because not too many people could afford them, so the prices weren't too crazy high. I also we have a Watcher's Eye now. This has an offensive and a defensive stat. We have increased cast speed, and we have 7% physical damage reduction. This was maybe, again, these range wildly in prices. I checked before the video, none of them exist right now. I paid around 2 Exalted Orbs for it. You might expect to pay maybe upwards of 4 once some supply gets back. I'm not too sure. I have some rare crit multi-jewels. As far as my gear, I've moved past the 1 Chaos Spark implicit helmet. Now I have a Hubris Circlet with the 30% prod speed. I'm not sure if my scepter changed, but this is the scepter I'm using now. It has 5 good stats on it, and the crit strike chance is 11%, which is basically negligible. So, I mean, that's pretty good for week 1. 5 good stats, 1 bad stat. Now, getting like, I've tried the recombination to craft a better scepter and a better shield, and I failed all 3 times I tried, but I'm gonna keep looking out for like decent wands and decent shields and keep mash them together, and hopefully I'll eventually get lucky and get like a really nice 6 mod weapon or shield. I'll keep you guys posted if that actually happens or not. Body armor, this needs to be improved. I want to make the damage body armor that I made a crafting guide on last league. It's just kind of expensive because you need an influence 6 link, and you need 2 of the, what are they called? You need 2 Orbidominances. I have 1 of them. You need a Awakener's Orb. I'm just not quite there yet, but this is what I'm going to be working on next. Boots, nothing special. I got some strength on there. Gloves. You can craft through June Unveil a prefix to get projectiles pierced an additional target. So I crafted that, but now I don't have the pierce on my implicit, and I've been trying to roll to hit it, but it's just so hard to roll them. Like the last one I bought, and just rolling it yourself, I don't know, it's a crapshoot. So I'm just going to keep throwing on the Eater Worlds currency until I get another pierce, so that then I'll have a +2 pierce glove. Belt, I guess I just got a slightly better belt. I was throwing on some Essence of Sorrow. Now, we need to hit 155 dex to be able to swap to Sniper's Mark. So I guess, I don't know, Assassin's Mark is pretty good early because it's really hard to get crit capped. So for a lot of you guys, probably there's no rush to switch to Sniper's Mark. But once you get crit capped, Sniper's Mark starts to make a lot more sense. So yeah, that's why I had to upgrade my belt just to get the dex requirement. All right, let's look at the POB. Here you can see my cluster. We have a large cluster Now, unfortunately, this doesn't have the Doriani's Lesson lifesteal on it. I opted for Snowstorm, which is the damage large cluster jewel, and Inspired Oppression, which gives us mana regen. And that's because I didn't have a gem socket for clarity, so I just needed to find some mana regen. And as you can see, the nodes I was talking about for increasing defense, right here, Arcane Guarding, that's 4 points. And then over here, this is 3 points, or maybe 2 points if you already have this jewel. If you're getting all the way over here, you probably want to get 10% reduced mana cost of skills as well. So I had to lose all the damage nodes in here. So I cut damage to increase my survivability. Now my damage still doesn't feel good enough, so it's kind of hard to do that. But I thought that getting 50% spell block and shock immunity, that's just such a massive increase in defense that I thought it was still worth cutting my damage to do that, even if my damage still doesn't feel like it's enough. As far as my passive tree, yeah, that's basically the only changes. At some point, I might want to unspec the Alira Bandit for +2 passives, but as you can see, well, actually, I do have enough extra resistance to do it right now. So maybe I'll do that after this video. Although then my mana regen drops by like 20 mana regen per second. That's a lot of mana regen to lose. So I don't know. I'll think about that. That would let me use a second medium cluster and I can get a third pierce that way, just because I'm getting so unlucky with my glove and I'm not hitting the pierce implicit from the Eater of Worlds currency. All right, so that's the build update. I'm having a lot of fun. We have the 4 watchstones. Now, I got my first 2 watchstones on the same gear from my day 2 build, so I didn't have too much currency invested there, but I did get my Uber Elder kill, my Maven kill after all these upgrades. It might be doable without the upgrades. I felt like both these boss fights were fairly easy. But my gear is pretty good now. As for all these things, I still haven't done the Feared. I'm not sure if I'd be able to do the Feared because I'm not Chaos Res capped, and that fight is pretty hard. Ideally, I'd have more damage before I try that. I don't feel like I need 1 extra map slot, so it's whatever. All right, well, I think that's going to conclude this video. Hope you guys are having a good league, and I will see you guys in the next one.